Hi, I'm Reverend Jake Sabe, and welcome to Children's Bible Stories. Alright children, we're doing another video in our Dinosaurs of the Bible series, and today we're going to be looking at the dinosaur Rahab. Now, the name sounds very similar to Rahab from the story of Jericho, but their names are actually different in Hebrew. Concerning the dinosaur, it is literally Rahab with a H. But Rahab, the human, her name is actually spelled with a Ches and would actually be pronounced Rahab. Rahab is mentioned a few times in the scriptures, and all we know about Rahab is that Rahab was some kind of water serpent. Now, serpent doesn't mean snake, serpent means reptile. So some kind of water dinosaur. Now, the problem with trying to figure out what type of dinosaur Rahab is that unlike Leviathan and Behemoth that got descriptions of them in the book of Job, Rahab is only ever used throughout the scriptures as a metaphor in relation to Egypt. See, Leviathan is also sometimes used as a metaphor for Egypt, but Rahab is almost exclusively used as a metaphor for Egypt. In the beginning of the book of Job, Rahab gets mentioned when it says that God is able to still the sea and shatter Rahab, so that God is able to defeat this big powerful dragon. So what we can tell is that this Rahab water dragon must have been something that was quite scary and powerful, because only God can defeat it. Elsewhere in the book of Psalms and in the book of Isaiah, Rahab is used as a metaphor for Egypt and for God defeating Pharaoh during the crossing of the Red Sea. But also in the book of Isaiah, God says that Egypt is worthless and empty, therefore I will call her Rahab, who sits still. So here, God is comparing Egypt with the dragon Rahab. And obviously, he says that Rahab sits still, meaning that we can assume that Rahab is some kind of predator dinosaur, but she doesn't move around a lot. We mentioned in our video on Leviathan how he is described as swimming around and playing and twisting and turning and fleeing in the waters. Obviously a very active marine dinosaur. Whereas Rahab is described as sitting still. Rahab is clearly powerful and scary, that only God can defeat such a creature, but it seems to be a creature that sits and waits for its prey to come to it. God then later uses Rahab again in the book of Isaiah as a metaphor for him defeating Egypt in the Red Sea, meaning it's possible that Rahab was found in the Red Sea, which would be a more shallower sea than the Mediterranean Sea, which would be a good place for Rahab to sit still. Rahab is connected with Egypt, and also in the book of Ezekiel there is talk of a water dragon that lives in the Nile. Another place that would have nice shallow waters for the dragon to sit in. And so we're probably wondering, what type of dinosaur would Rahab be? Well, the thing is, the Bible doesn't give us many descriptions of Rahab, so we don't really know what Rahab looked like. For all we know, Rahab could have also been a mosasaur. What we do know is that Rahab and Leviathan seem to be two different types of dinosaurs. And Leviathan seems to be more active, whereas Rahab seems to be more passive and waiting, swimming in the Red Sea and the Nile. So whereas Leviathan goes out in the Mediterranean, the deeper waters, Rahab likes to stay in the more shallow waters, where she can sit still and wait for her prey to come to her. She is obviously a big and powerful dinosaur because it is described that, God needs to be able to defeat her. But there is also no mention that humans couldn't have caught her like they did Leviathan. Now, one theory that I have is that Rahab may have been a plesiosaur. And the reason I think that is that Rahab is connected with the Red Sea and possibly the Nile and is connected with Egypt. And we do have some kind of ancient Egyptian coins and pictures and stuff like that of apparently a water dragon that they used to interact with in the Nile and Red Sea and places like that. And the picture looks very much like a plesiosaur. So I personally think that Rahab may have been a plesiosaur. I could be wrong, but that's just my theory. And that's the end of our Bible video for today, children. I've been your host, Reverend Jake Zabel. Goodbye, and God bless.